Excuse me, from the convener, I would like to check if we have our speakers all logged in. I have seen, I saw Dr. Abe Wu from Malaysia. I saw Mr. Wanagiat from Phuket. Professor Padamsak is with us. But I don't see Dr. Liu Zhenghua yet. Hello, Dr. Liu, if you are in already, please give me a voice. Uh, Dr. Liu Zhenghua, hello. Do you want to test your microphone? So Dr. Mariko in already. Hello, Dr. Mariko, do you want to test your microphone and video? Hello, Dr. Mariko, can you hear me? Hello, everybody. It is 1:01 already, so please let me have the speaker check their microphone. I'm still missing Dr. Mariko from PEMC. Could you please check your microphone and turn on your camera, please?
Hello, Madam, from SafeTech Secretariat. Can we test our microphone for Secretary General?
Yes, please, Secretary General, please test the microphone. And please also try to turn on your video camera. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, yes, hello.
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 Can you hear me?
Is that Dr. Zhenghua speaking? Right, we're speaking. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you, but maybe a little delay. But the voice is okay, and the camera
Voice
looks
okay.
fine. Right. And one
Okay.
question. Yeah. Do you want to share your presentation from your side, or do you want me to share from here?
Okay, I can share.
Thank you.
共享 PPT 呢？
ขออนุญาตเช็คทางเซฟเด็กนะคะ ขออนุญาตทดสอบไมโครโฟนค่ะ
ได้ยินจากเซฟเด็กไหมคะ
ได้ยินค่ะ ค่ะ ขอบคุณค่ะ เดี๋ยวทางนี้จะเปิดวิดีโอให้นะคะ ทางเซฟเด็ก
没有，他现在都不听我使唤这个。哎，这个太
I still miss Dr. Mariko from PEMC. Could you please check your microphone and turn on your camera?
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Can you please speak a little bit more so I can be sure that you can be clearly heard?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay, this is fine. Thank you so much. And about your
นี่เข้ามา
presentation,
แยกห้อง
you
นะค
want
รับ
me to share from here, or you want to share from your computer, Dr. Mariko?
ขอไปดูใกล้ๆหน่อยได้ที่เห็นมากสุด
Okay, that's fine.
อ๋อ เดี๋ยวผมเซตให้ก็ได้ครับ
Okay. Chair, can you see my slides?
Yes, I can see clearly, and thank you so much. So just please just stop sharing for now.
ผมเปิดให้
Thank
ดู
you.
เดี๋ยวเย็น
静音呢？
อ๋อ
อาจารย์ประเดิมศักดิ์
I think we're all in, and it is now 1:05 already. Greeting to everyone, and welcome to the Incubator number 14, hosted by the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, Thailand. This incubator is co-hosted by myself. My name is Surisata Pumin, Marine Resources Management Specialist, and another one, the co-convener is Mr. Ukrista Pumin, and he will be one of our speakers too. During these 2 days, there are altogether 17 incubators, and I hope you had a chance to more or less attend one of those, or at least some of those. And don't worry if you cannot catch up some of the incubator, because it will be recorded and shared later. And now I need to share my screen. This is our name of the incubator: towards ocean sustainability, direction of science and technology we need for the blue economy we want. And we have altogether 10 speakers with two co-conveners. And just remind you a bit of the housekeeping note that please remain muted unless you need to speak, and that would be after our presentation in each module. During the presentation, if you want to type in question or comments, please go directly to the chat box, and then our admin will monitor the chat box and deliver the message to the moderator or the conveners later on. And as I said earlier, that this meeting will be recorded, and the recording will be posted on the conference website. And they said a group photos is encouraged. So at this moment, I would like you to please turn on your camera so that we can capture the photo of you all who joined in this incubator. Thank you. Please.
Sorry, my camera doesn't work.
I can do Photoshop for you later, Professor
Thank you very
Don't
much.
worry. Okay, please smile to your camera and to your friends in virtual.
All right, okay. 1, 2, 3.
3. Okay, we have 3 pages.
Yes.
1,
Okay.
2, 3. We can wait a little longer, unless you don't not yet open your camera, like myself. Okay. Okay, try again. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Next. Smile. And next. Okay. Thank you very much. Not to take too much of your time, I will go directly to the program. Next would be the welcome and opening speech from the Director General, and that he has an urgent mission and in another province, so he kindly referred this duty to our Deputy Director General, Dr. Ponsi Suthanarak. Dr. Ponsi, please.
Distinguished speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for this incubator hosted by Department of Marine and Coastal Resources of Thailand with the support from the Marine Science Association of Thailand and the IOC-WESTPAC. Special thanks are delivered to all invited speakers for your participation despite your tight schedules. We really appreciate that. Oceans and seas play important roles on our life and livelihood. not only for the people in the coastal communities, but also for all of us. We have continuously explored and gained the benefit from the oceans, from their living and non-living resources, and also as well as their services. Because of their economic potentials, ocean resources have been recognized in recent years as the important assets, particularly in developing countries. This has led to the development of the national strategies to harvest the ocean's resources to support the national economics, formulated in the concept of blue economy. Advance in science and technology allow humans to better understanding and locate ocean resources and then exploit these resources, often excessively. Available knowledge must be used in wise and responsible ways. Scientific understanding is important for sustaining the blue economies in the unchanged world, but even more so as the ocean and the coastal areas are constantly changed due to the human forces. As one of the activity contributing to the implementation of the UN Ocean Decade of the Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, this incubator will share practices and actions toward the sustainable oceans economies, analyzing knowledge gaps, identifying science and technology need to strengthen future actions, and ultimately help shape the strategic direction for the science and technology development over the next decade. I do hope that you all have the comprehensive discussion, and at the end of this 2-hour incubator, you could come up with the expected recommendations for research frameworks and the direction of the ocean science and technology that could help contributing the sustainable and equitable blue economy during the next decade. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DDG. And next, I would like to invite Mr. Ukrit Satapumin. He is Director of the Marine Resources Conservation Division, Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment of Thailand. And he will give the introduction to this incubator. Mr. Ukrit, please.
Thank you. Distinguished sessions moderators, speaker and panelists, friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, but probably not good night. It's my pleasure to take the first part of this incubator session to briefly introduce to and set the scene for the session. The key concern of this session has centered around the sustainable development of blue economy, with emphasis on the supportive role of science, technology, and innovation. Or put another way, the meeting session will provide insight into why reliable science, technology, and innovation is necessary to form a foundation of blue economy. The blue economy is an increasingly popular concept or strategy for safeguarding the world's oceans and associated resources. Actually, its concept remains fluid and opaque, and there are different both in terminology and definition being used by nations and organizations that reflect whether they view the blue economy primarily as good business or national capital to sustain livelihood or to drive innovation. Some comparable or complementary terms came up, such as ocean economy, ocean enterprise, sustainable ocean economy, and blue growth. Nevertheless, one aspect that these terms have in common is that on attempt to integrate the need for marine-based economic development and that leads to improved human well-being and social equity, while significantly reducing environmental risk and scarcity. An important challenge of the blue economy is that to understand and better manage the many aspects of ocean sustainability, ranging from sustainable resource extraction to ecosystem health to pollution to climate change, etc. Sustainability of resource use is a key to maintaining blue economy. We should admit that science is important. Advances of science knowledge through research and development are needed to simultaneously maximize blue economy benefit from multiple goods and services in a sustainable manner. Sustainable blue economy must acknowledge that the earth and its ocean are changing in a way that complicated sustainable resource extraction, and the resulting environmental consequences may require more conservation practices for resource utilization. Science is important in creating sustainable blue economy that mitigate threat to coastal ecosystem and society. As being stated in the opening remarks, I would like to reiterate that available scientific knowledge and breakthroughs must be used in wise and responsible ways. In the overarching objective of this session is to highlight the role of ocean science and technology in blue economy development, as reflecting by the incubator name towards ocean sustainability, direction of science and technology we need for the blue economy we want. The meeting session will show how blue economy can be improved by science and technology, particularly once the knowledge gaps are clearly identified. What kind of science and technology need to support or strengthen the development of blue economy can then be suggested. In the meeting, Module 1, National Level Practices and Development of Blue Economy, will be shared as for the case study or lesson learned from selected countries, namely China, Malaysia, and Thailand. In Module 2, the organizing in the form of a panel discussion, it will cover a broad regional perspective of blue economy development, including highlight from two specific sectors, namely fishery and tourism. In addition, analysis on contributory aspects of science, technology, and innovation needed to promote sustainable development in the various ocean economy sector will also be presented. In Module 3, our guest moderator will lead discussion and compilation of all key messages and recommendations pertaining to science, research, and development needed to advance blue economy that being delivered in the previous meeting modules. This synthesized set of information will be of use for further detailed development of regional framework of research direction in science and technology for the blue economy in our region. As for the way forward, I would like to inform the meeting that in order to further establish a framework of research strategy and direction in ocean science and technology that could help contribute to sustainable and equitable blue economy, a series of workshops will be subsequently be convened in the years to come. That's on my introduction. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Director Krit, for such a detailed introduction to the incubator. So without further ado, we should go directly to Module 1, activities on blue economy, sharing practices, lesson learned, and research gap identification at national level. We are not honored to have representatives from 3 countries, one from China, second one from Malaysia, and the third one from Thailand, of course. And I would like to introduce the first speaker, Dr. Zheng Huo Liu. He is research professor and Deputy Director Marine Environment Management and Sustainable Development Research Center, Third Institute of Oceanography, or TIO, under the Ministry of Natural Resources, China. And Dr. Liu, could you please share your screen for your presentation, please? And you have a little less than 10 minutes for your talk. So please have your stopwatch. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me and see the slides?
Yes, I can hear you and I can see the slide. And please play it in slideshow mode. Thank you. So that we see the full screen. That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Chair and ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to have this opportunity to participate in the Incubator 14 to attend this important workshop. Thanks the invitation from Thailand, and thanks Dr. Suri and Wanakia for your contacting in these several days. My topic today is the promoting blue economy based on the marine and coastal ecosystem services enhancement. So I will introduce 3 levels. The first will give a background of the blue economy development in the worldwide and mostly in the APEC framework, and then introduce the ideas and case studies promoting the development of the blue economy from concept to practice. And thus, I will give some recommendations and cooperation proposals. So we all know the blue economy attack is a big hotspot in the worldwide level, in the global level, and also in the APEC region. So at the global level, under the background of the climate change, the biodiversity decrease, and also marine environmental pollution, and also the degradation of the marine and coastal resources, especially under the influence of the COVID-19 pandemic in recent 2 years. So everyone is thinking about a blue growth approach that can protect the environment and promote economic recovery so as to achieve inclusive and sustainable development. The blue economy has become more and more important and relevant. United Nations agencies, international organizations, and economists have done a lot of research and practice on blue economy. It is relatively very early to discuss the blue economy under the APEC framework. And it was discussed, the APEC blue economy first discussed in 2011, which is the first blue economy forum. And in 2014, the APEC have achieved the common view of blue economy. So we have just finished the 6th APEC blue economy, and together with the efforts of the APEC economies. So many practical cases we have shared in this region. This is the blue economy common view. Emphasis, this is an approach to advance sustainable management and conservation of ocean and coastal resources and ecosystems and sustainable development in order to foster economic growth. And we see recently with the IUCN's introduction of the MBS based standards, the concept and practice have good compatibility with the blue economy. We see the definition here of the MBS, which is to solve the corresponding ecological and environmental challenges and promote social and economic development, and also biodiversity protection. So for the MBS, for example, in the aspect of the ecological conservation and protection and restoration, it emphasizes the enhancement of ecosystem services and the benefit of human well-being. MBS is widely used in the coastal area because the coastal areas are characterized by concentrated human activities, diverse habitats, and rich biodiversity. So all of this affected by climate change and marine disasters, climate change. This requires us to make a trade-off between the ecosystem services and different types of ecosystem services to adjust to a local condition at the appropriate scale to promote the integration and efficient of the ecosystem services. So this shows us the many types of the ecosystem services, including the regulating, culture, supporting, and provisional, or to enhancement, and also improvement of the ecosystem services to reach the sustainable development of the blue economy. So under this concept, I will show one of the case studies in China, Xiamen, the Wuyan Bay. This case, we have done more than 15 years. Now it have achieved very successful stories, which is also one of the best practice of the eco value realization under the Ministry of Natural Resources of China. So let's look at this case study. We can see the picture before the restoration and after the restoration. And on the very beginning, we're doing the spatial planning of the ecosystem and development based on the ecosystem services and analyzes each case scenario, the ecosystem service deliverable. So based on this research, we fix the conduct activities or the projects in this region. So one of the program is to habitat restoration. And we can see this picture is remove the sea dike to open and inner the bay and restoration the Wuyan Bay. The expanded the landscape and quality of seawater by enlarging the tidal influx, and also the sewage management around this bay and habitat conservation. So this shows the wetland conservation and restoration already is a very attractive area for the visitors and birds also. This is the core zone for the habitat conservation, and which is the core area to deliverable the ecosystem services enhancement. And after 10 years, after more than 10 years hard work, this area have achieved the eco benefits like the seawater sediments, biodiversities, and also the blue infrastructures enhancement. Chinese white dolphin is come back to the this area, and also we have 100 kinds of species of the birds in this area. So on the one hand is the biodiversity conservation. On the other hand, we have achieved the remarkable economic benefits, like the tourist center and the recreation center of the Xiamen Island. So this is what we talk about, how to reach the win-win approach under the urbanization in the coastal area. So what we said, the blue economy, we should in the one hand, conservation, on the other hand, sustainable development, economic growth, and also the inclusive for the stakeholders around this area. So based on this, I would like to give some recommendations and for all of us to discussion. So promoting the blue economy, we should fix one exactly specific area. And so we engage. We also call for the blue economy pilot sites to have the fixed area to discussion to move to the blue economic approach. So also in this area, we should think in the policy level and planning level, including the ICM, EBM, also the MSP, the ecosystem service trade-offs and synergy. This is one aspect. And the second, today we will discuss more the science and technology to promote the conservation, protection, restoration, and also the sustainable utilization of the coastal resources. And the third one is we should enhance the ocean literacy, which have emphasis yesterday. Many ministers and participants have emphasis the blue ocean literacy, also the blue citizens engagement, the stakeholders engagement, the partnership and cooperation in this region. Hope all of us make great efforts together to promoting blue economy in this area. Thank you very much.
So much, Professor Cheng Hua, and very nice having the last slide that you wrap up and with recommendation. So we are a little bit late from the program, so I would go directly to our second speaker. Okay. Our next speaker is Dr. Abewu Saopin. He's a senior lecturer from the Center of Marine and Coastal Study, Universities in Malaysia. And he would give us his experience in working on the blue economy in Malaysia. So please, Dr. Abe, share your screen from your side.
Can you see my screen? It should be there. Yes. Madam Chair, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you. Right, thank you. Yeah, I will make this very quickly as we are not.
Just a little bit reminding, sorry, that our admin is trying to help you count down the time. You can see it on the
Okay,
on
I
the
will
screen.
see the time. Yes, thank you very much. I will do this very quickly as well to share the Malaysian experience and what we have been doing and what are the plans we have forward that we might share and we can discuss about it so that we can see. As I always begin my talk, anybody who have listened to the talk, I will always put up this slide reminding us that 70% of our earth is actually covered with water, and the water that is covering us is actually salt water. So most of our area on earth is actually the sea. So 70% of our resources as well as the capability of the earth is very dependent on the ocean. So we cannot emphasize more how important the ocean and it will play, how much role they will play in the future of the economy as well as the land has been overused. Looking at a little bit more closer to home, this is Southeast Asia, where you can see this is the fastest growing economy area of the world. And this is also the most, one of the most biodiverse area with resources that mostly derive from the sea, because you can see the landmass is not as big as the ocean when you consider this region. So we are a maritime nations. So most of our economy are powered by the ocean. Most of our food security are actually powered by the ocean. So there is no running away from taking care of our ocean and looking at how can we utilize the potentials of our ocean. This is looking at the most important part of our ocean also. If you look at this, is a species indices looking at fish and coral species. So you can see we are sitting at the bank.
screen ค่ะ especially พชวรรณเกียรตินะคะ he's so happy having his video on again so welcome back to the incubator. The time is now 1:52, so we have to restart counting our time again. So that I would like to invite Dr. Abe to please restart your presentation again. Dr. Abe, please.
Hi, you can hear me, right? So I will just go very quickly and not repeat it so much. As I said, the ocean is important part of our lives, and we are a maritime nation, and we're very dependent on the ocean health and the ocean for our economic and as well as livelihood benefits. And as I stopped here when I shared about the importance, looking at what is the most important thing about our ocean is we are sitting at a bank of species where this is a species indices for corals and fishes in the world. So we are essentially sitting right on top of the bank across the world. So we are we are actually the richest country in terms of species across the earth. So this has presented a lot of potentials in actual fact that we have not really tapped into in moving our blue economy. This is a little bit more in detail. This is looking at indices of corals. As I say again, we are sitting actually on the bank with a lot of potential and a lot of other materials that we can utilize in order for us to grow our economy sustainably by using the ocean. I would share a little bit more on Malaysia, as I'm going to talk on the scenario of Malaysia. This is the state of ocean and coast by PAMSI, and this is sort of a quite old data, but it's quite relevant still. So the ocean economy actually generated almost $63 billion per year in the year 2015, which constitute about 23% of our GDP. So I believe in other coastal countries as well, especially in Thailand, we'll have a share of much higher percentage of GDP from the ocean as compared to Malaysia, as well as Philippines as well, where you can see also employment in the ocean constitute about 4%, and the total, if you count on the services as well, it equates about $70.7 billion of gain. So it gives us a lot of economic benefit, and what we have been doing for so far is a lot of unsustainable practices. But if you look at the concept of blue economy, this is based on the World Bank's definition of blue economy, which sustainable ocean resources for economic growth, improve livelihood and jobs, while preserving the health of the ocean ecosystem. So it sits at between of protecting the environment as well as looking at how do we use the ocean for our economic benefits without entirely destroying the environment of the ocean. So these are the triple bottom line of sustainable development, where whenever we plan, when we look at blue economy, it must comply to these three pillars, which includes people. We call it 3P. It's easy to remember. It's about the planet, the people, and profit. So how do we then balance between the planet, as well as looking at the economic benefit, as well as taking the health and well-being of the people? These are the main sectors and in blue economy, which is outlined by the report by EU Blue Economy. These are the future emerging industries that is based on the ocean. What we have been practicing is here for the past 40 to 50 years, we have been practicing a lot on the above: capture fisheries, shipping, marine tourism. These are all what I could say is that an old way of using the ocean. And these are the emerging industries, what we can be expecting for the next 20 to 30 years. These are the industries that will thrive and based on the ocean, especially. I'm just going to focus on a few of these, especially on marine aquaculture and marine biotechnology. Of course, there are other potential things that we can do, but I think the most relevant for our region will be looking at marine aquaculture and marine biotechnology. Why? That's why I introduced a little bit on the potentials we have, which is our marine biodiversity. So in Malaysia, we are actually trying to gear ourselves. Even in 2019, we have been looming at taking blue economy as our basis of economy driver. So and then we have this we launched in 2 years ago. We launched a 10-year plan called the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030, outlining 10 years of our plan for economic growth and also the well-being of the people. But if you can see within the plan, there are 15 key economic growth activities. We call it KEGA. The KEGA, out of these 15 key economic growth activities, you can see 5 of the activities are very relevant to the ocean or relevant to the coastal area: logistics, transportation, coastal maritime economy, renewable energy, smart and high-value agriculture, which includes aquaculture as well as tourism sectors. So these 5 out of the 15, 5 will be looking at involving the ocean and involving the coastal area. Now, but looking at Malaysia's system, Malaysia coastal economic use, most of it until today, we can't fight, for example, Thailand or Philippines on the tourism side, which they are very, very well developed. Most of our time is looking at the fisheries. Our capture fishery is about 680.1 billion Malaysian ringgit, equivalent to about 300 million US dollars. But you can see we cannot sustain such capture fisheries because capture fishery has been stagnant for the past 20 years. And you can see in this graph, we have been importing our seafood more than we are exporting our seafood. That means there are yearly deficit of about 300 million US dollar every year from just exporting or importing of seafood. So I'm not going to go about this. I'm not going to go to see what is our plan then on looking at how do we ensure food security as well as blue economy and generating more income from the ocean. So you can see this is one of the examples that we have, how to revolutionize our agro-maritime industries. It started with a very labor-intensive industry. This is where we are. We are looking at corporate and entrepreneurship, where we maximize profit and productivity and eco-labor. But next, what we are going to look at is how then we use technologies and for us to move forward. So technologies like AI, drone, big data, and all this. How do we then revolutionize the way we do aquaculture and use our fisheries system? This is one of the examples that has been used in Europe, but I will show you later how then we have some policies that we use to use this. So we are looking at how then technology can be integrated into our instead of just using labor, how then we maximize efficiency and culturing things by using technology. So in Malaysia, this is very new. This has been launched just earlier this year. We call it they outline 10 science and technology drivers. So if you can see, these 10 drivers are the main science or technology that will be used to revolutionize different sectors, including aquaculture. So you have 5G sensor technology, biotechnology, and as well as most important, how do we then use data and blockchain to as well as advanced intelligence system to revolutionize our system. So I may not have enough time to completely talk about this, but I can share more of the information. This is called the 10-10 Science, Technology, Innovation, Economic Framework. This is 10-10 My STIE, which is very new. Just one more minute so that I can finish this. Also, you can see on the top is the main socio-economic drivers that we aspire to develop. And these are the 10 technologies that I talked about just now to be used to revolutionize our sectors. If you look at how to use this graph, you just follow by this one, look at agriculture. How then, or agriculture or aquaculture is within this. How then within this, you can use all the 10 technologies, to sort of revolutionize our, for example, bioscience. You can look at how do we find better technology for breeding, better technology for selecting species of sustainable species for aquaculture. And of course, there are much more technologies that you can look at. The next big thing to capitalize, the most important thing is to remember to capitalize our biodiversity richness, to look at how can we then use the biodiversity that we have to power our pharmaceutical and nutraceutical industry, which will be very, very important for the next 10 years. So, but then again, I will end by this note. This is not all good things. We are now going to be challenged with a lot of climate change and a lot of other pollutions in our area. So we have to take care about this in order for us to continue our growth. And I think we'll leave more discussion for later. Thank you very much for a short time.
Thank you so much for very interesting information, especially on that 10-10 Science, Technology, Innovation, and Economy, or the MISTI framework. I think we would need like a week on that discussion probably. So just please, we have to go quickly to our next speaker. Share my screen. Mr. Wanakiat Thaptim Sang. And he is the Marine Resource and Ecosystem Management Specialist. He has been working with us for a long time, and I mean, having a lot of experience to share. And he's still working with us at the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment. And please be reminded that you have 8 minutes, and the admin is counting the time for you. Thank you. Please, Mr. Wanakiat, the floor is yours.
Of the Incubator 14. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Suri for inviting me to participate in this Incubator on Marine Blue Economy today. This afternoon, I will share with you some output of Blue Economy project in Trat province, where it's in the eastern coast of the Gulf, Thailand. The title of my talking this afternoon is Promotion of Blue Economy in Trat province, Thailand. And the outline of this presentation will be composed of the background information. The second one is pilot site of Blue Economy. The third one is ongoing activity in the pilot site. And the last one is challenge and recommendation. Most of you may know well that the marine economy is composed of various activities such as fishery and aquaculture, transportation, tourism, coastal development, and marine industry. As I understand, the concept of blue economy is the marine economy based on the marine and coastal resources. Moreover, it should meet the criteria on the sustainability, innovation, the social equality, and the last one is participatory approach. Then the achievement of the blue economy should be the increasing of the status of natural resources and environment. The second one is the adaptation in areas of local communities. The third one is better income or livelihood. And the last one is the benefit sharing on the utilization of marine and coastal resources. Since 2016, Department of Marine and Coastal Resources, Thailand, has initiated the joint project of marine economy under the framework of Thailand-China Cooperation on Marine. The Third Institute of Oceanography, China, is the partner of this joint project, and the project can get co-funding from China-ASEAN Maritime Cooperation Fund and Department of Marine and Coastal Resources. Trat province, where is in the eastern coast of the Gulf Thailand, was selected to be the pilot site for this study. Why is Trat province? Trat province is one of the hotspots for marine tourism in the eastern coast of the Gulf Thailand, where is very high richness on marine and coastal resources. Then Trat is a high potential for marine development. Moreover, Trat province is the gateway of the Eastern Economic Corridor, which close to the Cambodian border, and the communities network and their participation are very strong and active. At the first step of the project during 2016 to 2018, we spent quite much time for collecting baseline information which composed of the status of the marine resource and environment. The second one is socio-economic status of the coastal communities and the pattern and communities' attitude on resource utilization. The project has organized the workshop, meeting, and focus group meeting quite often to enhance the better understanding on blue economy. Then the activity which can drive the blue economy from the consensus of local communities and the government agency concerned in Trat province. The first one is rehabilitation of marine and coastal resources. The second one is supporting on knowledge and experience in marine resource management. The third one is supporting on the careers development for better livelihood of the local communities. And the last one is law and regulation amendment. However, law and regulation amendment should be delayed because it needs much more time. And the activity will cover some, for example, the seagrass and coral reef rehabilitation, the ecotourism, and marine debris management. The key success for the achievement of blue economy, it should be the first one is the sustainable utilization of marine and coastal resources. The second one is innovation development of resource utilization. And the third is sharing benefit of the stakeholders. Hence, the outcome should be the increasing of the status of marine and coastal resources as well as the community income or better livelihood or good governance on marine resource utilization. The blue economy has initiated in Thailand as the pilot project, which has been facing the challenge and constraint in the implementation. They are the first one, the directions of government policy in national and provincial level. The second one is law and regulation concern. The third one is budget allocation. And the last one is active integration of the government agency concern and the participation of the stakeholder. When we identify the gap of blue economy implementation, it can be the first one, which is very important one, is the policy direction. The second one is better understanding on the concept of blue economy of the stakeholder. The third one is the integrated implementation and of course, the budget allocation. Then the recommendation to drive the blue economy in Thailand, it should be the first one is strengthening the government policy on blue economy. The second is enhancing the better understanding of the benefit from blue economy and the integrated implementation of local community stakeholder and the government agency concerned. The third one is supporting the essential budget and knowledge. And the last one is my personal comment that we should establish the marine spatial planning and the marine protected area for marine and coastal resource management, which the marine spatial planning can decrease the conflict among the users, and marine protected area is the management measure for suitable utilization, for sustainable utilization. And last issue, the status of marine environment should be emphasized. This is all of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Dr. Suri, please.
Thank you so much, for Chawanakiat, for speedy and keep your time very tightly. You even have 5 seconds left. Yes. So far, I haven't seen any questions in the chat box. And I found that all 3 speakers have already kindly put their very last slide for some information as recommendation. This would be very useful for discussion further in the module 3. So I wonder if we would have some minutes for questions from the floor. If any of the audience would like to have some questions to the speakers, please raise your hand. I will try to have a couple of questions if you want, if you wish. Let's see if any would like to share or ask question. 1, 2, 3. No question. Okay, thank you so much. Then I would go next to the second module. In this module two, because it is a panel discussion on what science and technology are needed in order to support the blue growth. We have 5 speakers in these modules, and it's going to be moderated by Professor Padam Sakjarayapan with 4 speakers that could please spare their time to join us today. So Dr. Padam Sakjarayapan, he is a professor of the Interdisciplinary Graduate Program in Maritime Administration, or MARAD, at Chulalongkorn University of Thailand. Our first speaker is Dr. Maria Corazon Ibavia. She's project manager for the Blue Economy Assessment Partnership in Environmental Management of the Sea of East Asia, or PEMC. Next speaker is Ms. Malini Samititi. She's the Secretary General and Chief of the Training Department, Southeast Asian Fishery Development Center and Training Department, or the SEPDEC TD. And Mr. Nipat Pong Chun, he is the Vice President, Thai Ecotourism and Adventure Travel Association, Thailand. And last but not least, Dr. Thamasak Yimin. He is the Associate Professor and Head of Marine Biodiversity Research Group, Faculty of Science, Ramkhamhaeng University, and he also the President of Marine Science Association of Thailand. And next, I would give this panel to be in the hand of Dr. Padam Sakjarayapan as the moderator. Dr. Padam Sak, please.
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone from Bangkok. And hopefully that we try our best according to the time. We're a little bit behind the schedule. As we know that this is the model number 2, and we have 4 speakers, which is in fact quite interesting because we will hear from the regional aspect to the the particular activities like tourism, right? And at the end, I think according to the organizer, Dr. Thamasak will come up with some kind of a summarize of this one. So I think this one is quite interesting, and it's judging from the former presentation in this incubator. So hopefully that we should be able to have some kind of a response at the end of these sessions after module 3, I think. Yeah, but anyway, owing to the organizer, I think we will have 4 speakers and one will have about 8 minutes, right? So if we have time after each one speaker, we will come for a question. Otherwise, we will wrap up at the end. So the first speaker is Maria Corazon Ibavia from PEMC, which is in fact, she's quite, we have been working for quite some time, especially at the time that the Blue Economy Initiative starting in ASEAN, right? So she will give her view on the regional perspective of Blue Economy development. Please, Mariko, please. Yeah.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll be presenting on the regional perspective of Blue Economy development in the East Asian Seas region. So countries in the East Asian Seas or EAS region adopted the Blue Economy paradigm with the
Would you please put on the presentation mode, please? Sorry, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
So
good.
The countries in the region adopted the Blue Economy paradigm with the signing of the Changwon Declaration in 2012. And these countries developed their national state of oceans and coast reports with Blue Economy theme. And these reports were launched in 2018. And this year, the East Asian Seas Congress will be held next week in Cambodia. We'll be hosting it. And we'll be launching the 2021 regional report. So the East Asian Seas region is home to 1/3 of the world's mangroves, coral reefs, seagrass, and there are also salt marshes in China, Korea, and Japan. And the large marine ecosystems face high risks from loss of habitats and biodiversity, plastic waste, and nutrients. So UNEP identified 10 rivers which carry 90% of plastic waste to ocean, and 8 of these 10 rivers are in Asia. And the nutrients are mainly from untreated wastewater and agricultural and urban runoff. So the benefits and ecosystem services would be lost, affecting lives, livelihood, and security of the people in the region if these issues are not addressed. Now, the role of the ocean in the climate system is increasingly being recognized. The Earth's climate and the ocean are fundamentally linked in so many ways that are still not yet fully studied, and have just started being an integral part of climate discussions. The ocean plays a key role as climate regulator in absorbing carbon, producing the oxygen we breathe, and in buffering the damaging effects of climate change. Meanwhile, human activities that cause climate change, predominantly the greenhouse gas emissions, are also affecting the health of the ocean, making it increasingly warmer and causing ocean acidification, which can devastate coral reefs and change fish stocks. Now, what is the value of the ocean? The wealth of the nation consists not only of the physical and produced capital, which is measured by the gross domestic product or GDP, but it also includes the natural capital, human capital, and social capital. The wealth of the ocean consists of the ocean industry or the ocean economic activities with dependence on the ocean, as well as the coastal and marine resources, or the natural assets provided by the marine ecosystems. Thus, the ocean economy should be measured in terms of both the GDP of the ocean-based industries, as well as the value of the coastal and marine ecosystem services. So the ocean industry is the produced capital, while the ocean resources are the natural capital. So in many cases, the marine ecosystems provide intermediate inputs to the ocean-based industries, while the ocean industries can impact the health of the marine ecosystems. So the ocean economic activities include the established sectors like the fishing, shipping, manufacturing, construction, tourism, those in the white font on the left table. There are also emerging sectors like marine renewable energy, marine biotechnology, submarine cables, those in the yellow font in the table. The ocean also provides ecosystem services that are not usually quantified and captured in the GDP accounts, such as the supporting services, regulating services, and cultural services. So like for regulating services, these are the shoreline protection service, the carbon sequestration, waste assimilation, and so on. So for the region, the ocean industry of the 10 countries are worth around $1.5 trillion. And there are about 61 million people who are directly dependent on the ocean economy. So there are 61 million people who are employed in the ocean industries. On the other hand, the ecosystem services like mangroves, coral reefs, seagrass, tidal flats in the 8 countries are worth $2 trillion. So more than the produced capital. But note that these are initial estimates since the standardized methodology for ocean accounting is still being developed and finalized. There's also lack of disaggregated data, so not all ocean economic activities have been measured. And the valuation of ecosystem services is based on existing studies. For blue carbon, so the coastal marine ecosystems have an important role in climate change mitigation and adaptation. The carbon sequestered in these habitats has been termed blue carbon. So these habitats are known as carbon sinks. The mangroves, seagrass annually sequester carbon at a rate of 10 times greater than mature tropical forests and store 3 to 5 times more carbon per equivalent area than tropical forests. And these ocean ecosystems serve as the largest carbon sink in the world. They are available, effective, cost-efficient, nature-based solutions that can contribute to the mitigation required to keep global warming well below the 2 degrees Celsius. But despite this potential, only a few countries include these ecosystems in their national greenhouse gas inventories and the nationally determined contribution targets. Now I go to the different blue economy initiatives, sectors. First is on the fisheries and aquaculture. So the region accounts for 63% of the global fisheries and aquaculture, 39% of the capture fisheries, 73% of the global aquaculture of fish, and 99.5% of the aquaculture of seaweeds in the world. So this is an important industry, including for small-scale fishers who are dependent on these coastal resources. This slide shows examples of the use of science, new technologies, and innovations to ensure more sustainable and climate-smart fisheries and aquaculture, and to address issues like overfishing, IUU fishing, and the need for safe and clean aquaculture. So like the use of IT, remote sensing, and satellites for monitoring, control, and surveillance. For the fish stock assessment, the results have been used to develop programs on closed fishing seasons, establish fish sanctuaries, and also the total allowable catch system for target fish species. Now, for ports and shipping, 80% of the world trade is done through shipping, and it's 90% in the East Asian Seas region. Now, the EAS countries account for 48% of the world container port traffic in 2018. 9 of the top 10 container ports in the world are in this region, and 4 of the top 5 liner shipping connectivity ports are also in this region. So there are issues on sustainability of ports and shipping. So when holistic planning is absent, for example, during construction, damage can occur through destruction of coastal habitats, land reclamation and dredging, and construction of buildings and roads to connect to the port. Once operational, there are air and water pollutants, solid waste, noise pollution, and so on. So this is an example of green ports, like the port of Cagayan de Oro. There are many ports in East Asia which have already received the Green Ports Award from APEC. For this port, this is not a big port, but it was able to improve its efficiency and reduce pollution and greenhouse gas emissions, like through shore-based power supply for ships using renewable energy, converting to solar power for lighting, and providing shore reception facilities to handle solid and liquid waste. So this port received a Green Port Award from APEC in 2018. Now, for shipping, there are new technologies, new designs of ships, new energy sources, new engines that are available. So this table shows some of those solution options, which ships and shipbuilders are considering to be in line with the IMO international agreements to reduce sulfur content, reduce greenhouse gas emissions with ships, and address ballast water. The same thing with tourism. So about 26% of tourism went to this East Asian Seas region. This slide shows some examples of the blue economy initiatives on sustainable tourism. Like
Marika, I'm sorry, would you be able to wrap it up a little bit? Sorry. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, so these are the new industries like for marine biotechnology, marine renewable energy, and water supply. So like marine biotechnology is producing new medicines for anti-infectives, painkillers, and even for anti-HIV. And also for bioremediation, bioenergy, biopolymers as alternative to plastics. Under the blue economy, we're also looking at the circular economy to protect the oceans. How we can turn waste into resources. So like the treating wastewater and reusing treated wastewater for irrigation and other non-potable and even potable uses like in Singapore, and reuse of biogas as fuel for buses, garbage trucks like in Japan, and for cooking and lighting in Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. So this is the final slide. So in summary, so there are threats and losses from business as usual, and the unhealthy oceans would result in the erosion of the ocean economy potential and loss of ecosystem services. So what is blue economy? So this is the sustainable use of ocean resources and preserving ocean health for inclusive economic prosperity, livelihoods, food security, resiliency, well-being, and new sources of medicines, water, and energy. So the new technologies and innovations are driving the sustainability also and resiliency in the blue economy. So these are on the left side are the pictures of the 10 national oceans, state of oceans and coast reports that have been developed in the region. And there's a new regional state of ocean and coast report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marika. I think you gave quite a very extensive information for us, and hopefully that you will be here until the end of this session. Thank you so much. We move up to the next presentation. This is going to be presented by Malini Smititri, Secretary General of SafeDeck. She will give a regional response to support the blue growth, responsible fisheries, responsible fishing technologies, and good aquaculture practice. I think mostly it's maybe something that we can rely on SafeDeck as well, because SafeDeck is a regional organization in this region. So if you're ready, just please start.
Thank you very much, Ajahn Padamsak. Thank you for inviting SafeDeck to talk in this event.
Okay, please.
Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Malini Smititri, Secretary General of the Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center or SafeDeck. My presentation today will focus on how responsible fishing technologies and good aquaculture practices support blue growth and the Sustainable Development Goal. SafeDeck as an intergovernmental organization representing a regional fisheries organization from Southeast Asian region, attended the high-level United Nations Ocean Conference in 2017 and made the commitment to support implementation of Sustainable Development Goal 14 or SDG 14. It includes development of regional programs on sustainable management and protection of marine and coastal ecosystem to achieve health and productive ocean. My presentation today will inform you how SafeDeck facilitates development and management of fisheries in the region through utilization of the fishery resources toward food security and safety to the people and alleviating poverty through transfer of new technologies, research, and information dissemination activities. And to show some examples of how SafeDeck activities support member countries to achieve our commitment. Let me take a short time to introduce SafeDeck. SafeDeck is an autonomous intergovernmental body established in 1967 as a regional treaty organization to promote sustainable fisheries development in Southeast Asia. SafeDeck has 11 member countries, including 10 ASEAN member states and Japan. SafeDeck has 5 technical departments. The Secretariat Office located in Bangkok, Thailand, and other 4 technical departments covering all technical aspects of fisheries, including capture fisheries, both for marine and inland, aquaculture, fisheries management, and fishery post-harvest. Over 5 decades, SafeDeck has implemented a number of research activities, capacity development programs, and provide several regional platforms to support ASEAN member states in response to the issues and concerns related to fisheries and aquaculture development. More information is provided through SafeDeck website. Over 50 years, SafeDeck established more than 25 high-level policies and technical documents endorsed under ASEAN mechanism, including regionalization of FAO Code of Conduct on Responsible Fisheries, 12 fisheries management documents, 2 volumes of 10 years plan of action and on sustainable fisheries, 2 aquaculture documents, and 1 post-harvest document. SafeDeck also undertakes activity to explore the status of marine fishery resources through the conduct of oceanographic and fishery resources survey by using our 3 research vessels, namely MV SafeDeck, MV SafeDeck 2, and MV Pralang. MV SafeDeck is used for offshore and deep sea areas, where MV SafeDeck 2 is mainly used for conducting training and research in coastal areas. These 2 vessels are donated by Japanese government to SafeDeck training department. MV SafeDeck 2 is just being installed with the most updated version of scientific echo sounder and activity working based upon the request of member countries under cost-sharing scheme. The new MV Pralang arrived SafeDeck training department on September last year. This is a wooden vessel of 44 gross tonnage and 19 meters in length. MV Pralang is made as a prototype of trawler to support training and research activities along the coastal area of Thailand. MV Pralang demonstrates improvement of working conditions at sea, high standard of hygiene and safety at sea for crews on board fishing vessels. Moreover, new technology on optimizing energy, supporting low impact to environment, and improve fuel efficiency. She also equipped with instruments to reduce manpower and new cooling system for preserving fish. SafeDeck provides several capacity building programs for ASEAN member states, including risk and stock assessment of transboundary species. We are now understanding stock status and structure of Neritic tuna species, such as kawa kawa and long-tailed tunas in Pacific, Gulf of Thailand, and Indian Ocean. We are now doing a research for stock assessment of anguillid eels in the region. In order to find an appropriate model for stock assessment of the tropical anguillid eels, the stock structure of Indo-Pacific mackerel is scientifically defined in the Gulf of Thailand sub-region, and its joint management plan among the countries were presented and discussed. SafeDeck also provides a number of training programs for fisheries officers of the member countries on post-state measures and observers on board, data collection methodology on catch and landing of commercial aquatic species, training for the trainers on ecosystem approach to fisheries management, which will allow them to accommodate concept and practical ways to integrate habitats into fisheries management. Training to the key stakeholders of the member countries on reduction of post-harvest loss. Recently, SafeDeck promotes the energy optimization through fishing gear modification and on-deck machineries. In consider to the fact that the capture fisheries production at standstill, aquaculture sector has been responsible for supplying fisheries products to the world. Aquaculture sector production accounts for approximately 50% of the world total fish production. In order to promote sustainable aquaculture, SafeDeck Aquaculture Department in the Philippines has focused its work on 3 main areas. The first challenge is to develop aquaculture technologies that are environmental friendly and sustainable for an aquatic aquaculture operation. The second one is to develop prompt and effective aquatic diseases control and management technologies to prevent the spread of emerging and unknown diseases in the ASEAN region. The third one is to transfer the sustainable aquaculture technologies to all stakeholders. Concerning the issue on combating IUU fishing, to assist ASEAN member states to combat IUU fishing, regional fishing vessel record RFVR and electronic ASEAN cash documentation system were developed under ASEAN SafeDeck mechanism. SafeDeck is discussing with FAO to find a way to link data on FAO global record with our RFVR database. Regarding the traceability of fish and fishery products, EACDS was developed to help the countries who has yet established their national traceability system for capture fisheries. Brunei Darussalam, Malaysia, Myanmar, and Vietnam are participating in this EACDS activity. Besides that, SafeDeck in collaboration with international agencies, including FAO and NOAA, organized a series of training on post-state inspection and observer on board to build capacity of fisheries officials of ASEAN member states to effectively combat IUU fishing in the region. SafeDeck Training Department has put efforts toward addressing the issues on marine debris and microplastic in Southeast Asian region. SafeDeck collaborates with relevant organizations and agencies, including FAO and ASEAN, to implement several projects for improving research techniques and provide technical support to ASEAN member states in building their capacity to conduct survey and data analysis on the impact of marine litters. Training department also work with FAO in testing the questionnaire for a survey on ALDS-FG in trap and gillnet fisheries for conservation of natural fish stock in inland waters. The training department, with the support from USAID, support member countries to carry out fishway construction in Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Seaweed project is a new project that SafeDeck works with World Wildlife Fund US to create new sustainable seaweed value chains that will deliver ecosystem services and provide socio-economic benefit. The project aims to strengthen seaweed value chains which provide environmental benefit such as carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus capture. The opportunities and income generation for coastal communities. This project will be commenced by mid of 2022. Seaweed culture demonstration site in Vietnam and Philippines. It is expected that the project could contribute 20,000 hectares of marine habitat and 66,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide emission, as well as create direct beneficiaries to the communities. Recently, SafeDeck, in collaboration with the member countries, is monitoring and evaluating the regional and national activities that have been implemented in the region in line with regional resolution and plan of action on sustainable fisheries and food security for Asian region toward 2030. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Secretary General Smith Malini. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so from living resources, fisheries and aquaculture, right, from SafeTech, maybe we're gonna go to another one that maybe involved with services or indirect use of the resources for the blue economy. This will be presented by Khun Nipat Chuanchun. He's the president of Thai Ecotourism and Adventure Travel Association. And we will give us the view on the use of non-living resources and services in the case of the tourism. Khun Nipat, you ready?
Yes.
I think you are the field, right? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. And maybe you may start. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to invite our association to join with this conference. As you know that in Thailand, the tourism is one of an important sector for contribution to our economic and socio-cultural benefits. But however, it is known that in the we call it the business as usual or conventional tourism. It caused some of environmental problems. And in 1997, some of the tour operators who want to be a part of the movement to reduce the negative impacts, they start to establish Thailand Ecotourism and Adventure Association. So in the first decade of our journey, we are focusing on create our own standard and develop our own ecotourism standard and use in our association. Then in the second decade, 10 years after that, the GSTC or Global Sustainable Tourism Criteria start. So we develop to conform with the global standard and apply it in all of our tour program. I can say that in the first 2 decades, we are focusing on green economy or tropical rainforest and inland conservation. But 4 years ago, about 4 years ago, we start our third decade. We have the new knowledge about the blue economy, and we start to know that, for example, the efficiency of carbon sequestration of the mangrove forest is far better than the tropical forest, and as the association that focus on this metric, the metric is about the carbon greenhouse gas emission in the unit of the kilogram carbon dioxide equivalent. So we always seeking for the better of carbon sequestration that suitable for tourism. From our experience, we found that if you try to sell the eco-friendly marine and coastal tourism to the tourists, if you focus only the eco-friendly traveler, the market segment will be small, and it is hard to do the marketing. So you have to tackle on the mass tour traveler. And what is the problem? I can tell you two things that they will not change. It is about the comfort and convenience. Okay, let's say that if for in eco-friendly trip, you can ask your traveler to use their own water glass and bring their own the box and their store. But how about the normal traveler? You can't. So what we need to help them to do more than aware of their impact on the coastal and marine during the travel. What we are doing now is trying to create the creative activities for carbon offsetting. Okay. Normally, we have the voluntary offsetting when we want to fly. We want to fly from one destination to one destination, and you might check that. Oh, okay, I will buy the carbon credit for offsetting. But our association start to test the activities that the people do. For example, if they change from speedboat to slow boat, if they change from slow boat to kayaking, we will give them award like the gamification, and we use the nudge theory to change their behavior, but do not change their fun, their comfort, and their convenience. So what we experience from the year before COVID-19 is we can get more and more mass traveler to buy in ecotourism program that we redesign, and after that, at the end of the trip, we will do the story to tell them, first, you can reduce your garbage at least 50%, for example, and you can help the carbon sequestration in mangrove forest by help us to put the seed under our scheme. So this is our experience to support the blue clothes. We think that there are huge opportunity because of many of the conventional activities in tourism in marine and coastal area can be disrupted. We need the innovation to disrupt it, to change it under the condition that I said before. Do not try to change their comfort and their convenience, and then you can win. Otherwise, you will try. You will very try to sell them. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Unipatpong. This is a direct, or we call a hands-on experience, especially when you try to combine business with the blue economy concept. So I think we should be able to learn something directly from from the one, because mostly what we have heard is from academics or from the scientists or from the policy side. For this one part, maybe the good example, look for the other side, and hopefully that you keep on your three targets, right? fun, convenience, and the comfort. And hopefully that you're good with your business. Yeah. So now we come to the last the panelist, right? Ajahn Thamasak. He's president of Marine Science Association of Thailand. And hopefully that he will come up with some kind of recommendation or his view over on how research and technology that we are needed for sustainable ocean economy or blue economy. Dr. Thamasak, would you please handle the microphone, please? Yeah, thank you.
So thank you very much. May I share my screen?
Yes, yes. Now quite clear. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Padamsak, Kun Ukrit, and Dr. Suri for inviting me to discuss in this incubator. I would like to start with the IOC UNESCO alignment of ocean decade objectives with priority ocean knowledge need for a sustainable ocean economy. There are three objectives, that is identify required knowledge for sustainable development solution. The objective one is do we see that we need to develop the research agenda for deep sea mining, identify priority data gaps for biodiversity mapping, identify priority research needs for the ocean genome, and for the objective to generate required knowledge and understanding of the ocean. We need evidence to underpin large-scale marine ecosystem restoration, improve understanding of ocean climate nexus, and increase knowledge of ocean genomes. And for the objective three, increase use of ocean knowledge, we need applications and services of integrated ocean management, and also strengthen capacity of science uptake in policy development. I'm now going to brief about knowledge gaps and need of research, development, and innovation for each sector of the blue economy. For harvesting of and trade of marine living resources for fisheries, we need precision of fish stock assessment to support management measures for sustainable exploitation, science-based guidelines for responsible fisheries, advanced acoustic and imagery technologies, and autonomous systems for fisheries, autonomous system, satellite technologies, and automated tracking system used for monitoring. For secondary fisheries and related activities, we need advanced material for durability of fishing gears and fishing-related equipment and facilities, development of biodegradable nets, and inventory of value-added products and discards from fisheries and fish processing. For trade of seafood products and non-edible seafood products, we need inventory of value-added products. For aquaculture, we need several research, such as application of biotechnology and genetics for breeding of species, application of science-based guideline for responsible aquaculture, remote sensing, and numerical modeling for decision making. We also need invention and development of new marine biochemical substance for pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, and cosmetic use. We need also to develop of algal biofuels. For extraction and use of marine non-living resources, there are several research for seabed mining. And we also need application of available technologies for salt farming. For oil and gas, there are several research, such as development of advanced material for making structures stronger, lighter, and more durable. Development of technology and innovation to minimize impacts to environment from exploration and production processes. There are some research for related photochemical industries for oil and gas, that is development of hydrocarbon-based technologies for synthetic products. For freshwater generation, we need development of desalination with energy efficiency techniques. For generation of offshore renewable energy, we need development of modeling and AI application for renewable ocean energy used for sea wave high prediction, sea level variation, and so on. For shipping and shipbuilding, we need development of nanoscale materials that are self-healing and self-cleaning used in coatings. For maritime transport, we need development of AI, computerization, and big data analytics and associated automated technologies for e-navigation. For ports and related services, we need development of smart computing systems and machine learning for port operation and services. For coastal development, we need remote sensing, satellite, and imagery technologies applied in planning and management of coastal zones and wetlands. Autonomous systems used for monitoring and surveillance. For tourism and recreation, we need capacity development, training, and knowledge exchange and transfer to promote sustainable tourism, particularly ecotourism. Development of science-based guidelines for relevant tourism and recreational activities. For marine cables and pipelines, we need development of subsea engineering and technology. For indirect contribution to economic activities and environment, we need research, development, and innovation for promoting ecosystems conservation and restoration of blue carbon. For habitat protection and restoration, we need satellite technologies, acoustic and imagery, and autonomous systems applied in monitoring and assessment of marine resources. Development of modeling and AI application for early warning system. We also need research, development, and innovation for species-based and area-based conservation and management, genetics and molecular techniques for species identification. For waste disposal and land-based industry, we need development of smart sensors and techniques for measurements and monitoring of marine environment. We also need research and development of bio-based waste treatment. We suggest research direction to support blue economy in 4 categories. That is, promote research development in science, technologies, and innovations that may foster both ocean-based economic development and environmental sustainability. For example, strengthening research and innovation to enhance knowledge of marine ecosystems, their management and their protection, upscaling research and development in advanced technologies, promote capacity development and transfer of technologies and innovation in blue economy to ensure knowledge-driven and cost-effective solution and interventions. For example, upscaling technical support and capacity building for various sectors of blue economy, investing in capacity development and training in the implementation of the blue economy agenda. For establish research and innovation partnerships and networks to accelerate the sustainable development of ocean blue economy. For example, promoting inter-sector research exchange by building up relevant networks within and among academia and ocean-related industries. The last category is strengthen science policy interface in developing and improving policies and strategies for sustainable blue economy. For example, incorporating research and technical development framework as policy instrument to advance national or regional blue economy, fostering collaboration between relevant stakeholders to develop evidence-based policies and market-informed strategies. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, Thamasak. I think we have been heard from 4 speakers, and it's quite interesting. The last one, I think Dr. Thamasak has already put some kind of recommendation, and maybe we consider as a what next, because as I can remember, and my understanding that this type of a kickoff is just a starting, and hopefully that there will be a number of workshops after this. So hopefully that the detail of Dr. Thamasak mentioned, and maybe perhaps the former 3 speaker as well should be able to be included into the further discussion. I'm not sure that at this point, will there be anyone to have some kind of a quick question to either one of our former speakers. Otherwise, I will hand up the stage back to the Kunsuri, because I'm not sure quite now that how much time we have left according to the delay of the technical problems. Yeah. Will there be any?
ค่ะอาจารย์พดุลศักดิ์ we have actually spent 51 minutes of this module.
Yeah,
just
that's
1
what I
minute
mentioned.
More than expected, but we still have half an hour left for our incubator time. So,
should we continue with the module 3 or module 3, or maybe some kind of particular question to the former speakers? Otherwise, I will have just the quick question to Mariko, because she gave quite a good overview, and I know that she have quite a good experience in terms of when we're talking about blue economy, when it first PEMC start do this type of thing in the ASEAN countries. So I just would like to ask that from her opinion and her experience, you think what are the key points that we should be try to come over to be able to success in this type of approach or initiative? Yeah, would you please give me some kind of a response to this one? Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, first we have to measure to be able to manage. We need to develop these ocean accounts so we'll know what we have and what we are going to lose if we don't manage properly our ocean wealth. So that would involve the accounting of the ocean industries, as well as the valuation of ecosystem services. And to do the valuation, we need regular monitoring of the coastal habitats, the fisheries, biodiversity, and marine water quality. So in the region, we really lack information on the monitoring of marine water quality, like for nutrients and plastics. We also don't have regular fish stock assessments. And so that's for the ocean economy. But we also need to measure also the small scale fisheries, which are not always included in the management, in the discussions, including the role of women who are involved in gleaning, processing, marketing, because these are informal economies, and so they are not captured in the accounts. We also have to look at the ocean climate nexus. So we still lack studies on the linkage of the ocean and climate, and then how we can make use of this blue carbon as a nature-based solution to mitigate climate change, because our region is very rich in mangroves, seagrass, salt marshes, and usually these are the resources, the ecosystems that are being converted to other uses because we do not know the value. We don't have a monetary measurement of the value of these ecosystems. So we need to have more of these studies to be able to manage them and then contribute to the climate change mitigation and adaptation. And then for the other industries, like for shipping, ports, even tourism, there are already initiatives on this low carbon or decarbonization. It's just a matter of maybe commercializing the technology, knowledge transfer, capacity building to be able to scale them up. Then we also have the marine biotechnology, marine renewable energy. Incidentally, the region is now leading in offshore wind power because of the investments like in China, Korea, and Vietnam. And then in the Philippines, the coastal wind power, also solar power is gaining hold. So these are the emerging industries that we need to support in line with mitigating and adapting to climate change.
Okay, thank you very much. I think just come up with something like the sum up of this session as well. And even some of them may be in connection with the former speakers. So I would think that maybe I would like to call to the end of this panel discussion, and hopefully that we should be able to get together and maybe look into the particular issue at the time at a later stage. So thank you very much for everyone, and also the speaker and also the participant from online. Thank you again, and I would like to give the stage back to Kunsuri, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and that concluded Module 3 of our incubator today. And thank you so much for all speakers, and especially to Professor Pedamsak for kindly moderated this incubator. It is indeed very interesting, and I just wish we had more time for today. Anyway, we would have, of course, in the future, a series of workshops and discussion on this matter, and we hope that we can have a more clear and concrete plan for the decade to work on this issue. I would like to go next to Module 3, and let me share my screen here. And that Module 3 is just to synthesize and wrap up. And we have two ladies, very nice ladies that I've known for quite some time, that helped me out in this matter, and a little bit put more burden on them. Hope they don't mind. First one is Ms. Maeve Nightingale. She's a senior program coordinator, UCN Asia Coastal and Marine Program in the National Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN. The second one is Dr. Suvalak Sathumanatpan. She's professor at the Faculty of Environment and Resource Studies, Mahidol University of Thailand. And both of you would have like 20 minutes to synthesize and discuss or comment what you have heard from the two previous modules. And I now first pass the floor to Maeve. Please, Maeve, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kunsuri, and thank you to everybody for such an intense and interesting event. Despite the interruption, we had an immense sharing and some interesting commonalities coming out in the messages from the region. We started with an excellent overview by Kunukrit and Marikor, defining blue economy, what is it, the subject that we're talking about, and the importance of blue economy in the Southeast Asia region in particular. And there are some startling figures there, you know, from Marikor, stressing the point that we need to look at the combined value of not only the economic value of the blue economy industries, but also the natural capital, the value of the very difficult the value of the ecosystem services, which are very difficult to monetize. And if we're not accounting for these services, which are actually impossible to monetize, we are making a gross underestimation of the value of our blue assets. So thank you to Mariko for that overview. And she touched on some of the key sectors of importance in the blue economic thinking. And I think across all the speakers, we're in agreement with what the key sectors are in this region, with the immense value of fisheries from the region, a recognition that the fishery sector has reached its maximum potential in terms of wild caught fish, and that there's now a move to aquaculture. Again, a very important sector for the region in terms of its development and need for sustainable aquaculture through innovation, research, and the application of sustainable practice. So there was this interesting point, it came out by two speakers, that a recognition that our capture fisheries have reached their maximum limit. And because of this turn to aquaculture, there will be by definition a new pressure on coastal resources. And we've been mentioning the importance of blue carbon quite frequently, the mangrove habitats, seagrass habitats, and these are the kinds of habitats that start to feel the pressure when we look at increased aquaculture development in the region. The second major sector that we're all in agreement with of importance is tourism, coastal and ocean tourism. 41 million visitors visiting least developed countries and small island developing nations. And we had an excellent input there from the need to understand the mass tourist psychology and how do we start building awareness without removing comfort and convenience to make the mass tourist in Thailand a more eco-friendly tourist with education and awareness. And I thought that firsthand insight from Kun Nipatapong from the Thai Ecotourism and Adventure Travel was just excellent direct information from the ground about what are the realities of really continuing to tap the tourist market potential, but understanding that we need some behavioral change to start happening if we want to have more eco-friendly tourists, but are still satisfied with what they're coming for in this region. The third sector of importance, which everybody's mentioning, is maritime transport, ports and shipping, and this disproportionately large sector for the region in terms of shipping and transport, 80% of international goods from here. And we've talked a lot about climate change and the importance of looking at blue economy, blue carbon systems in the ecosystem services for sequestration in climate change mitigation and adaptation. And, climate change is a threat, but it's also something that needs managing as part of the blue economic thinking. We also talked a little bit about waste management, again, a major threat to coastal and marine resources in the region, but then with the innovation of circular economy thinking and the reduction in waste and the recycling and uptake in circular economic thinking, this can be also combated. We also talked about some new emerging sectoral interests from a number of speakers from Malaysia, from across the speakers, and these include the biotech and biochemical sectors, energy. There's been some talk about marine renewable, particularly offshore renewable energy, the interest in water supply and desalination, and the low energy innovation and technology we would need to make that sustainable. And I'm considering blue carbon one of the new emerging sectors that we're still not quite getting to grips with in terms of recognition of its ecosystem, the blue carbon habitats in terms of this important ecosystem service they're providing for carbon sequestration and storage. I also like very much the mention of nature-based solutions it started from China with a lovely case study from the Wuyuan Bay, where we looked at like the use of spatial planning for restorations of habitats, which brings with it visitor attraction and bird, important coastal bird population opportunities. So the really beautiful case study there of what can happen if you plan space and rationalize the use of space for restoration of habitats and key habitats, which has a win-win impact in terms of developing habitat for biodiversity increase, but also for tourism benefits as well. And I liked the concept there also of blue literacy in terms of increasing public awareness in understanding the values of these biodiversity hotspots. And our speaker from Malaysia, Dr. Wu, again, put on the map how important this region is from a biodiversity hotspot point of view. He mentioned this concept of triple bottom line, planet, people, and profit. He also mentioned how important the established industries are and the emerging industries for Malaysia, which include the aquaculture and the marine biotech. And he presented to us a very interesting matrix where he looked at the socioeconomic drivers in Malaysia against the science and technology drivers. And I think there's a lot more to unpack in that table. And I appreciate that sort of, the matrix presented a lot more for discussion there. We also heard from Kun Wanakiat, the Blue Economy Tract province example under the China-Thailand cooperation. Again, what he highlighted was there's a very clear understanding of blue economy, what success criteria look like in terms of sustainable use, innovative development, and benefit sharing. But one of the key things that we are needing to tackle there are the laws and regulations that support policies like integrated coastal management, marine spatial planning, as a way of moving forward in a practical sense to integrate across multiple sectoral interests. And this was touched on by a number of speakers, the need for integrated cross-sectoral planning and marine spatial planning as a policy delivery tool for achieving that. And I think there's becoming better and better recognition of the potential for marine spatial planning in delivering blue economy for the nations across Southeast Asia. I'll stop there. We had the last speaker was just, we could talk about that for days in terms of the priority knowledge needs for sustainable ocean economy. We have just enormous amount of interest around those key sectors in understanding more about the status and more about how we would use more research for understanding the innovation we would use for the sustainable development of those key sectors that I have mentioned earlier. Thank you. I would like to invite my co-moderator to help fill in some of the gaps that I must have omitted to mention. Ajahn Yom.
Hi everyone. Hi Meev. Nice meeting you. So I think you did a very good job. Did you hear me?
Yes, now.
Okay,
yes.
Good. So it's nice meeting you again for a long time. And
yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to say that Meev has done a very good job, that she some kind of quote several keywords made by our speaker this afternoon about the way forward, that we move the ocean economy to the blue economy, transitioning. So what to do? I think that the several keywords, for instance, that Meev already said, but I would like to just revisit a little bit, like China. China is very strong in terms of infrastructure and marine spatial planning, and also restoration success, that you hear the story and also a lot in a numbers of article papers. Then for the Malaysia, it seems like they pay attention to the emerging aquaculture and technology is quite clear, and also the three bottom lines. And then we come to the demonstration side in Thailand. I think Thailand is pretty good in terms of their restorations to restore or to rehabilitate coastal resources, which when you look to the regional aspect, we all agree that we are in the large marine ecosystem and they are at risk. That's why we need to do something to drive them to more blue economy. And we recognize that if we do it, we not just achieve the SDG goal 14, we achieve other SDG goal at the same time. I think more than 5 or 6 together in terms of consumption, poverty, livelihood, safety, or blah, 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 that we get the lesson learned. So now let me clarify things that at the end of the moderator 2, I think that for main themes about directions to suggest for further discussions about the research development that fostering ocean-based and environmental sustainability. Secondly, capacity development, that is clear. We heard a lot from SafeTech that contains a lot of workshop training and so on. And the other one, the theme, the third theme that Dr. Thamasak mentioned is also about the research and innovation partnership networks, either multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary approach that I would like to take a close focus on this. I think we need to build some kind of transdisciplinary research network because it will enhance our knowledge, exchange good practices, and of course, capacity required to address current issues and emerging threats. That is not easy to do this, but we should carefully think about it. And the fourth one, it's mentioning about the strengthening science policy interface in developing and improving policy strategy for the blue economies. Okay, so why we take much concern with research development and innovation to support the blue economies as our focuses. Other elements. Other elements that I would like to touch for this, in addition to the science and technologies, it will mixing up the other 3 things that basically, I mean, the international organization, even World Bank, IUCN, or OECD, or IOC, mentioning in summary, there are 4 core properties. And the first one, we already touched it, about science and technology. Okay, which is, we talk a lot. Second one, the second, Hello. ได้ยินไหมคะ Hello.
Please just kindly continue.
Okay, good. The second one, the second core element that we have to touch it carefully is about the equitable economic. And under this element, it seems that what are we going to build and encourage mechanism to enabling that we have equitable and inclusive growth for the economic benefits. The third one, okay, any blue industry or any industry, it also have to pay their strong focus to maintain the healthy of the ecosystem services. And we are really, I mean, get used to the some kind of tools to maintain the healthy of ecosystem. That means the concept like MPA, marine spatial planning, can be used to arrange several industry in the proper plan. So this is something that we get used to it over 20 or 30 years. If it does work properly, I think this will cope the third elements that everyone say a lot about this. And finally, the last one, we are getting used to the, I mean, coastal management, that conventional management approach that address the challenges separate on a sector by sector basis. And it's sufficient. It is not sufficient to solving the complex problems in the coastal sea. So when we look across the blue economy industries, we see that there are numbers of positive and negative linkages between industry and causing the system more complex. Thus, under this regard, the blue economy cannot be generated or maintained by government alone, nor by any one industry. So we have to do what we're going to do about these constraints. I think how we think is how to govern these activities with the transition from marine economy to blue economy. We might think of some, approach. Somebody would say about the social ecological system resilience. Some would say social ecological interactions. Some would say interactive governance, whatever. There are, interlink among this approach. So if we, as I said, government can do this alone or even private sectors. So it's some kind of what we are going to setting up some play game for this to happen in the sea, in the area approach, right? And this will be the last one. After we doing all sorts of things, please don't forget that we need to track the progress to fully understand the economics, the environment, and the social impact of each industry or each activity sectors on the local and national level. It's look like simple for me, but it's actually when we implement it, it's hard. So properly plan at the beginning, and then at the end, we know what's going on. So it's touching others. International guideline, even when you making the accounting, or you made a state of course, or you made a national condition of coastal reported. But it has to touch some kind of the three pillars. What's happened to the status of natural system? What happened to the economic system, or even what are the social impacts in terms of the local scale and national scale? That would take about 5 or 6 years, I don't know. So the rest of our group, I think we done a very good job. And if we can come up with some kind of a very strong keyword from our session that would help for our region to move forward. Thank you. I turn the floor to Maeve. Hi.
Sorry, I was muted. As you were speaking, sorry.
Okay, so I thank you very much to Maeve and Dr. Suvalak. Yeah, just Maeve make a good, a good wrap up for what have been delivered during the meeting. So, and also Dr. Suvalak, thank you for the touching upon you in your last message is about a kind of warning or caution. How can we move, or how can we get there, the blue economy? That's many things that we have to consider. Yeah. Anyway, in all the sector that have to involve in blue economy development, that's one thing is that we have to make a kind of we cannot do the thing as usual. You have to stay away or move away from the business as usual. We need to get to have a paradigm shift to more responsible activity. So that means all the sector have to consider about this. We have to change to the new paradigm, and that's and I think for this, as I mentioned earlier, is that for this workshop, we might come up with some a keyword or a group of recommendation that we can work more. We hope that from for the recommendation that Dr. Samasak proposed, that might be a good start when we think about the how to develop blue economy according to science and technology, what kind of technology that we need, and then that we will after that I think we will try to organize a series of workshops and to establish it that a kind of research direction that we can use, and any country or anyone that interested in can use that to promote the blue economy in the country. I think nothing to say more. I try to say that I thank you very much for the participants that joined this incubator, and I hope that we can work together. Once we establish the kind of workshop or any other meeting in the future, I would like you to join and then make more discussion on what we expect to get is that this direction in science and technology that can contribute to ocean economy in the region. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone. Thank you our panelists and speaker and our lovely moderator. So I give the floor back to my co-convener, my boss, Suli.
Thank you very much. Apparently, he forgot my name. This is just I mean, I spent 2 minutes just for my own pleasure to see how gender is balanced in our incubator. I couldn't make. I couldn't done more because I have limited time. So I already worked out with the number of the speakers and myself, I mean the co-conveners, that it's more or less balanced, and the green is the seen female and the blue is the seen male in this panel. I hope that we have some kind of balance in our participants online as well, and that also the balance from our sectors and stakeholders, that we can work together in the blue economy issues. I think that is the end of the incubator for today, and maybe our Director General, we have a few words of appreciation, please.
Actually, today is very, very informative that I have to spend time to sit here for about 2.5 hours because this topic is very, very important. It is very useful to drive. I mean that the blue economy is what that we would like to have every country. So in the part of the government sector, I think that this is very important for us to know about the direction of what we will go in the future. And today we have the information, much more information, but I don't think that this is very good to start with the an assembly with many people in many countries and also many sectors. So we will have the starting point, very good starting point for our decade to build up the science and technology we need for the blue economy we want in the near future. Thank you very much for all of the participants and speaker, and also the co-convener and also the people who participate. Kun Suli said that about 80 person here in this incubator. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Goodbye, and thank you very much to you all.
สวัสดีครับ
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดี
Thank
ค่ะ
you.
พี่จิ๋ว
Goodbye.
อะไรเนี่ยเพิ่งจะเห็นกล้องตอนเนี้ย
เพิ่งซ่อมเสร็จ